L-O-O-K, look. B-O-O-K, book. Those were the words that sing-songed out of my mother's mouth and into my little ears at 4 or 5 years old in our tiny little townhome in Orange County, California. So these were some of my first and favorite memories. Hearing stories from my mother, learning to read, going to the library, and heading to the Barnes & Noble for the next exciting series. I still remember the summer reading program at our local library where you could get stickers and candy and notebooks just for reading. And at the end of the summer, you'd get the grand prize, free Pizza Hut pizza. At 7 years old, I knew that I wanted to be something. I had big dreams. And my mother had big dreams for me. She thought I would become a teacher. And in turn, I thought, no, I'm gonna be anything but a teacher. So when I won the color pastel drawing contest in first grade, I thought, I'm gonna be an artist. And when I thought so, I knew that maybe drawing with my eyes closed to classical music wasn't exactly artistic talent. 3 years later, I watched a movie called Legally Blonde, and I thought if Elle Woods could do it, I could do it. So I'm gonna become a lawyer. I held on to that dream, and in high school, I joined the mock trial team. And mock trial is just teams of students who read fake court cases, go to the courthouse, and argue their side. In mock trial, I was a pretrial lawyer, and I was doing lots of reading of precedent, old laws. I would have to defend it in front of a real-life judge during our competitions. It stressed me out. My attorney coach put so much pressure on us to win, and I remember crying at our last competition because of all the pressure. One time I asked him, do you ever lie as a lawyer? Or do you even like your job? He couldn't give me a straight answer, so I kind of figured maybe lawyering wasn't for me. By senior year, I got really fascinated in AP biology. And I was shocked at how amazing plants could be, or the human anatomy, or dissecting little animals. I don't know. It was so exciting for me, and I thought, no, not gonna be a lawyer this time. I think I'm going to be in the medical field. And so I enrolled at UCSB as a pre-biology major. This was where I knew I would graduate and I'd get that white coat with my name embroidered on it, a sparkly, beautiful title, a career, not a teacher. And so I went to UCSB, and sometimes my mom would call me. She'd go, Emily, I don't know why you're not majoring in English. You've always loved it, and you're good at it. And I, in my 18-year-old rebellion, answered her, no, Mom, I'm gonna study science. I'm gonna be a doctor. You see, I think my mom was living vicariously through me. She moved to the US at 30 years old from Vietnam, and she had the simple dream of going to America and picking an apple off of a tree. And she also had the dream of becoming a teacher, but she said that her broken English and her accent were actually what stopped her from doing that. And so she became a nurse, a respectable, stable job, and ironically, I feel like I was trying to be more like her to go into the medical field, but she had other dreams for me. Anyway, my first year at UCSB went swimmingly. I had a dorm room on the 8th floor of a tower, and it overlooked the ocean and the lagoon. There's UCSB. I also made tons of friends, joined a bunch of clubs, did pretty well in my classes in that pre-biology major, and I got my very own pink beach cruiser, and that's me riding my bike with no handlebars. And that was super fun for me. I even stayed for summer quarter because I was a bit of a nerd, and I really enjoyed the Santa Barbara sun. By my second year of college, my world came tumbling down. I hit a bunch of roadblocks, and the roadblocks included organic chemistry, 6-hour biology labs, and physics. I also got that pink beach cruiser stolen from the front door of my apartment right before finals. I remember ending that quarter so dejected. I knew that my medical school dreams were out the window. I received a D in organic chemistry and the lowest GPA I'd ever gotten in my entire life. I called my mom and I told her, okay, I'm dropping out, I quit. There's no way I'm gonna do this. And she already knew what I should do. She said, go ahead and change your major to English. And I thought, all right. So the next quarter, I took all English classes except for one, the retake for that organic chemistry D. And so I fell in love again. I thought, wow, literature, reading and writing all day long. I was discovering new worlds, reading authors from around the world, and I was excited. Maybe passion was more interesting than interest in biology. And so I started writing. I started writing in a journal every single day. The musings of a young college student, the musings of a failed biologist, the musings of someone inspired. And so at 19, I got my first experience in the classroom It was in an English credit recovery class at San Marcos High School in Goleta with Mr. Phil Levian. And he was a quiet, passionate, calm, kind teacher. He was so good with those credit recovery students, and they were real punks. And I thought, how does he do it? What's his secret? Well, Mr. Phil Levian was an actor. That's how he did it. He was a real actor. He had done that for many years, and in his older age, he thought, I'm gonna become a teacher. But I could see his passion for those children and helping them get back to where they were and where they should be. And after his students thought that they had failed their class, by the end of the credit recovery, they had all ended up passing. And in some weird way, I knew that that was kind of what was happening to me too. At the end of that pre-professional experience, I changed my major. I thought, this is exactly what I want to do. Passion is more important than interest in this case, and I was very passionate about English and maybe even about teaching. And so, fueled by black coffee, yerba mate energy drinks, and lots of hours in the library, I graduated from UCSB 2 quarters early with honors. And I thought, I don't know, am I gonna do teaching? So I started working for marketing and recruitment for a company called Teach for America. It was there that I was able to speak in front of many students. You can click again. This is a picture of me doing that job as their marketing advisor. I'd go to different lecture halls of 350 to 500 people, and I would talk about Teach for America. I'd write Teach for America and our number and do my spiel every single day. So my friend caught this one from a lecture hall. That was a fun job. I learned lots about how to interview other people, how to organize people by skill and personality in a database. I vetted people for interviews and even became an interviewer. It was lots of fun, but I knew that probably wasn't my life goal, and I still enrolled at graduate school there at UCSB. I went and got my teaching credential in English and my master's degree in education, and I was able to do 3 sets of student teaching. I still remember, this is just a funny story, but I had an English 9 class, and one of my seniors in that English 9 class was retaking because she had failed her English 9. Anyway, I was in jiu-jitsu at the time, and I went to my jiu-jitsu class, and I saw her there. And I was like, what are you doing here? And it turns out her dad was one of my coaches. He looked us up and down, and he goes, yeah, about the same size. You guys on the mat. And I'm like, oh no. The next day we went to first period, and she sat there, looked at everybody in the class, and goes, look, Miss Wu gave me this bruise. I was mortified, and I told them, no, it's not because of her performance in my class, it's just because we were at jiu-jitsu at the same time. So that was 7 years ago. And since then, that was that 9th grade class. Okay, we can move on. Since then, I have become a real life teacher. So that first job I had at Dana Hills was down in Orange County. I went back home for 2 years. At the ripe age of 23, I was teaching seniors, and I felt like their big sister. I was super passionate, but I was way in over my head. Being a teacher was not easy. I was in chaos all the time. Those were my seniors when I just started teaching. And I learned so much about classroom management, planning, organization. It was all great. And then I moved here to Saratoga. Click again. There's me starting out at Saratoga. It was only 5 years ago, but it feels like forever. I've learned so much here too. And then I changed my mind again. And some of you already know this because you're in my class, but last year I took a leave of absence to go travel and work in New Zealand. And that's what I did. So I actually worked in another education adjacent job, and I worked in the Ministry of Education for New Zealand. And basically I was a liaison between the government and the schools, and I was in charge of 2 regions, the Manawatu region and the Nelson region. There I was able to speak with principals and speak with people in the administration to help them to get funding and teachers for their schools. I was also able to learn accounting. Mind you, I am an English teacher. I was on Excel every single day processing over $2 million of New Zealand money so that people could get reimbursements for their substitute teachers at their schools. I learned a lot at this job. I learned a lot about myself, that maybe the 9 to 5 and looking at a computer screen wasn't exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I did really miss home. But here are some of my coworkers I still talk to today. We ended up going to work in the same exact outfit that day. And there's my building back in New Zealand. It was a great experience, but nothing is more exciting to me than teaching 30 seniors how to write a bomb essay. So here I am in Saratoga again, and I am a teacher just like my mom wanted. And I know that maybe my mind could change again. So I'm gonna put my teacher cap back on just for the second and tell you this. We are all still figuring it out. Even us grown-ups. Yes, even us grown-ups. And even if you think that that kid in your AP Bio class knows that they're gonna be a doctor one day, probably in 10 years, they don't know what they're actually going to do. And me, if you're looking at your English teacher like, oh, 5-10 years of teaching, she knows exactly what she's doing. We don't. We're still figuring it out. We still research and observe and try to figure out ways to engage students and convince them that poetry is actually the coolest thing since sliced bread. So, in all your confusion, your doubt, your excitement, and all your indecision in the future, I want you to remember that it's okay. It's okay to change your mind, and I want you to think back to these words. Look, L-O-O-K, look. Look around you, look at the world that is for your discovery. Go, travel, climb mountains, bike to your friend's house while you're still close by, keep healthy, exercise, and see your parents and your grandparents while you still can. Look around you, find your passion, find your purpose. Look around you and express gratitude. And look a little less at social media and the so-called perfect life. Look more at what has been created and what is out there for your discovery. Know that the world is your blank page. See it that way. And know that also you can write and rewrite that page as much as you want or need to. And also read a book. B-O-O-K, book. Read a book, step into someone else's shoes, walk around in them, laugh their laughs, dream their dreams, cry their tears, get lost in a narrative that is a little bit different than yours, maybe discover something in yourself. If you're lucky, you will have a goal and you'll get there straight on a bullet train. But more often than not, you'll probably have a life that is a winding highway, just like mine. And you'll find your way and it'll be okay, and it may not be easy, but it'll be fun. So, in all your indecision, it'll be okay. Look, read a book, and also maybe listen to your mother. She might just know what's best for you. Thank you.